We have one speaker before we go back to Julia, and it's Meaza from Tigray, and I would like to give Meaza the floor.
Thank you very much. My name is Meaza Gidey, and I was born and raised in Tigray. In spite of all the harrowing stories you have heard today from the testimonies and from the very incredible women and men that are here speaking for the women in Tigray, I think it's very important that everyone remembers or understands who the women of Tigray are. The Tigrayan women are not just victims, they're also very courageous and strong human beings that have fought for their independence and their right self-determination alongside their men counterparts during the Derg era, a very brutal military government who's in Ethiopia. They have fought alongside their brothers and fathers and successfully defeated a very brutal military dictatorship. Even after the fall of the Derg, they have played a very critical role in boosting the Ethiopian economy and also in bringing about a very comprehensive development to the country. These are mothers, these are educators, these are healthcare workers. These are women that were a backbone of the country as a whole and also the region of Tigray. However, because of the genocidal war that has been waged upon the people of Tigray and its government since November 4th, the women in Tigray, particularly the young ones, have suffered from the most horrific crimes that amount to crimes against humanity and war crimes. And all of this is being done in order to erase the Tigrayan identity in the Tigrayan people. These are genocidal crimes. These are crimes that are being orchestrated by governments and military personnel that were trained in order to protect the people and not to erase them from the entire world. Although we're very much grateful for the concerns all the international community has been expressing to date. However, as it was rightfully stated by Her Excellency Sita, concerns alone are not going to save the people of Tigray. Concerns alone are not going to save the women that are being brutally violated on the hands of the Ethiopian and Eritrean National Army, but also militia groups from the Amhara region. The world needs to intervene. The world needs to act. And the acts could be as simple as withdrawing the foreign forces or the invading forces that are currently ravaging cities and towns across Tigray. The Tigrayan women know who is doing what to them. They have been telling us time and again, with the very limited voice they have, with the very limited international journalists were able to get access to Tigray. They have repeatedly told us that the Eritrean troops, Ethiopian National Army, as well as Amhara militias are using their bodies as a battlefield to attain their political and military objective. And so it's very imperative that the international community, particularly the UN Security Council, takes an immediate action to, first of all, achieve cessation of hostilities, and second of all, to withdraw all foreign forces from Ethiopia, particularly from Tigray. And once all of this is done, it's very important that an impartial, independent investigation is carried out by the UN and the UN only. I say this because there is an already ongoing initiative to hold a joint investigation by the UN and the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission. However, we have seen how implicated the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission is in all of this. We do not feel safe that the witnesses will be protected, particularly the survivors of the ongoing weaponized rape do not feel safe to speak to any Ethiopian official. And this is not fear coming out of thin air. This is fear coming because the very courageous women that have been bold to tell their truths, that have been bold to tell the world who did what to them, have been faced with brutal measurements afterwards. Those who have spoken to journalists, those who have shared their stories, who's activists such as myself, have been tortured by officials from the Ethiopian government. So there is no confidence in the protection that these eyewitnesses or that these survivors of the weaponized rape will have once they share their stories. So we strongly feel that there needs to be an independent investigation led only and only by the UN. All of this could be done if the world, particularly those in power of position, have the political will to end the ongoing genocide on the people of Tigray. The world knows exactly what's happening to the people of Tigray, particularly to the women and young girls. There is really nothing to hide. The women are here. We're speaking on their behalf. You have heard the harrowing testimonies. The only thing that is lacking from the international community is the political will to hold those accountable, those who are committing all these war crimes, those who are carrying out and facilitating the genocide on the people of Tigray accountable. The world needs to have the political will and to bring the unelected Prime Minister of Ethiopia alongside his partner in crime, dictator Isaias Afwerki of Eritrea, and everybody who participated in the ongoing genocidal war in the people of Tigray needs to be held accountable. This can only be done if the world has the political will to do so. We have seen how the world miserably failed the people of Rwanda in early 90s by not taking appropriate measures when it was necessary. And global leaders have made the promise to never again hesitate to intervene and save innocent lives. But history is repeating itself. The world is collectively failing the people of Tigray, particularly the vulnerable young girls and women of Tigray. As we speak today, a young girl in Tigray, a mother in Tigray is being gang raped by Eritrean troops, Amhara militia, and Ethiopian National Army. The young girls in Tigray do not really have the luxury of waiting. Time is of the essence. It's very imperative that all concerned and relevant actors take an immediate action to end the ongoing suffering of the Tigrayan people, particularly the women and the young girls. As I said earlier, the Tigrayan woman's body is being used as a battleground to attain political objectives, a political ideology that and problem that can only be solved through an inclusive national dialogue. So if everyone, particularly those at the UN Security Council, African Union, are determined to see a world where women are protected from violence, where women could have an opportunity to prosper as their male counterparts, then this is the time where they need to step up and say no to the ongoing genocide on the people of Tigray, to the weaponized rape. Women are not just being raped because they're women in Tigray, they're being raped because they are Tigrayans. The whole intent of this genocidal war, or the whole intent of the weaponized war, is to erase the Tigrayan identity. And this is reflected in the things the perpetrator, it's reflected in the things these soldiers say while raping them. They tell them that they're raping them in order to cleanse their bloodline. They tell them that they're raping them so that they don't give birth to another Tigrayan identity, to another Tigrayan person. So the world has all the facts. Relevant actors know what exactly is happening to the women in Tigray. What is lacking is the commitment and the political will to act on all the relevant international laws that have been violated by the Ethiopian National Army, by the Eritrean troops, and also the Amhara militias in conducting the weaponized rape on the women in Tigray and generally the genocidal acts on the people of Tigray. So I call on all relevant actors to please listen to the cries of the innocent women in Tigray. They're not just being gang raped, they're also being starved to death. No place in Tigray is safe for Tigrayan women at this moment in time, because they're being raped in their homes, they're being raped in place of worship, they're being raped in hospitals, they're being raped in camps where where they were displaced internally and then they moved to camps. Even there, they're being raped. And these rape survivors, they need an immediate medical attention. They need assistance because they have been exposed to so many diseases, including HIV. And so we understand and we have noticed how the international community is focusing on the horrific humanitarian crisis that has transpired after the genocidal war was waged on the people of Tigray. But I don't think we can afford to ignore the political root causes of the ongoing conflict in Tigray. Unless the international community is willing and ready to face the truths about why the genocidal war has been waged on the people of Tigray and their government, and only focus on the humanitarian crisis, the suffering of the Tigrayan people, particularly the women, will continue for years. So this genocidal war was waged mainly because the people of Tigray wanted to have their right to self-determination respected, and the genocidal regime in Addis Ababa was hell-bent in building an Ethiopia that doesn't recognize people's right to self-determination. So unless the international community is willing to fix this problem, is willing to force the unelected Ethiopian prime minister to come to the negotiation table and have an inclusive national dialogue whereby the people of Tigray will be fully represented through their political representatives, the TPLF, then we will not see an end to the suffering of the Tigrayan people, particularly the women. So to close up, I call on all relevant actors to, first of all, bring about an immediate cessation of hostilities. Second of all, effect the immediate withdrawal of all invading forces, particularly the Amhara militia, Ethiopian National Army, and their returned troops. And third, to guarantee unfettered and unrestricted humanitarian access to all parts of Tigray, so that the vulnerable women in all parts of Tigray could get an immediate humanitarian assistance, particularly those survivors of the weaponized rape. And fourthly, to make sure that then an independent UN-led investigation is carried out so that those who committed all the war crimes and war crimes against humanity, both on the people of Tigray, but also the young men, the young girls and women in Tigray, could be held accountable and brought to justice. Unless this happens in the immediate, the women of Tigray and the people of Tigray will be history because they are being exterminated in the dark. No one is paying attention to the systemic genocidal acts all these invading forces are committing on the people of Tigray. So I leave you with that. I leave you with the stories of the young girls that we have heard from the testimonies. I leave you with the cries that they're making in the hopes that you will step up and do what is expected of you as global leaders to end their suffering. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Meaza, for such an articulate and powerful talk.